Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by. This is Kari, and I have another fun Heffy Doodle project for us. This time it's unicorns on the beach. I feel like unicorns deserve some beach time too, don't you? So today we're going to create using some stencils, stamps, and dies from Heffy Doodle. This one here is the Cloudy Skies stencil, and I'm going to show you how to use that today. It might be different than you think. And this one is the Stormy Seas stencil. And I'm also going to bring in the Tiny Waves stencil. The die that we're using today is the Build a Cabin die. It's got some really great dies for building beach cabins and also dog houses. You can use it for a lot of different things. I'm also bringing in a couple other stamp sets, and I'll go over those as we get to them. But look how cute that lifesaver is, and the little anchor, I cut it out of some metallic cardstock, and we're going to use those today. Now look here, there are some designs on this die. It looks like wood when you cut it out. It impresses that wood design into your die cut. So it's really a very great die. And there's a separate die for the roof, for the door, and for the frame of the door. So you can build this up to be dimensional, and you can also color it up and then add those extra details right on top, which is what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start by coloring each of those wood slats, starting with a dark color. And what I want to do here is I want to make it look like it's weathered wood by the sun, but it's a bright, beautiful beach house. And so that's what I'm trying to do here with these beautiful blue colors. I have BG09, which is the darkest color that I'm starting with, and then I'm going to blend that out with the BG07 and then go in with the BG05. And basically I'm starting with the darkest color at the end of each of the wood slats and then blending those out. Now you can see I'm not spending too much time on this. I am going very quickly. I'm not overthinking it. I'm not just taking my time. I'm really going quite fast because this is going to be just a portion of our background scene, and a lot of it is going to get covered up, but I still want that weathered wood look with a bright color. So that's why I'm doing it this way. And now for the frame of the door and the roof, I'm going to use E55 and just color those with that color. And I'm going to use it a couple of times. This is going to mimic the color of the sand on the beach. So that's going to be perfect for this little scene. So you can see I'm using the chisel edge this time to color up those pieces. And here's the top of the roof. And I'm just going to glue those down. And then for the door itself, I'm going to color the door up with a darker blue. And this is just going to give that nautical vibe and add some different bright colors. So again, using that chisel edge, the B18 color. And then I'm going to put that little anchor right over the top that I cut out with the metallic cardstock. I'll glue all these together with some liquid adhesive, and here you can see how fun that turns out in the end. I'm just going to straighten this arrow up just a little bit. Luckily I had a little wiggle room time because I used that liquid adhesive. And I actually colored this up in 3 different colors. I thought these were so fun for these beach houses. However, I ended up only using one of them today on our card. And so you'll see that at the end. Now I'm going to use this alcohol-friendly cardstock from Heffy Doodle. I love coloring on this cardstock. It's so nice and smooth. It allows for a beautiful blend of colors. I'm going to stamp down some of these Fluffy Puffy Unicorns, and I'm stamping it a couple of times using some Copic friendly ink because I'm going to color these up. And what I want to do is show you how I like to color the hair on these unicorns. I'm going to call it hair because I really do think it must be fine like hair. But I'm going to start with the clouds using some cool grays. And I'm starting with the C3, C1, and C0. And I'm going to use those same cool grays to color the shadows on the unicorns. And you'll see that I'm not coloring right to the edge using that darkest C3. I'm leaving a little space. This, I think, gives a little bit more of a 3D dimensional look when you get it all colored up. And then I'm just going to blend that out with the C1, C0, and I'll bring in a C00 as well. I'll color all the unicorn bodies up the same way. This gives them kind of like a white look, but with shadows. And these are going to dry back a little bit lighter than you see here because obviously this is still wet right now. So we'll dry back just a little bit lighter, but it's going to give those shadows and make it look like a more 3D dimensional animal. Aren't they so happy? I really love the expressions on their face. It's like pure joy, this one right here. So now if you've ever wondered how to color hair of a unicorn or hair of a person or anything similar, this is what I'm going to show you right now. And I love coloring this way. I'm using 4 shades of purple for this. I'm starting with a V09, then going in with a V06, a V04, and finally blending that out with a V01. And this gives it kind of some lights and darks, makes it really look like hair. Now, it's going to be hard to tell. I'm going to give you a little closer up view in just a minute. But when I color these up with the dark color, I use a flicking motion to give you some hair strand looks. So I'm not blending this completely through because I want those hair strand looks to remain in my final project. And this is how I love to, here we go, here's a closer version. This is how I love to color up hair. So see those flicking motions, giving you certain strands and then blending that out with the next color, but not too much because I still want to see those hair strands. And then the next color, and since I'm using 4 colors and these are just little tiny areas, you're really going to get a dramatic look. You want to make sure you leave some white space in the very center to use the lightest color on. So you can see when I blend, I'm not going very far with those colors. So I colored all of the unicorns up the same way using those same purples, and now I'm going to die cut them out with the coordinating dies. I'm using some Heffy tape here. This is my favorite tape to use for die cutting. It's a very low tack tape, which means it's not too sticky, so when you die cut it, it will keep your dies in place, but it's not going to rip your paper, tear your coloring, or ruin any of the things you've just done. So I really like the Heffy tape for this. And of course, I'm going to cut it out with my mini Heffy Doodle die cut machine. I keep it right here next to my desk. So I don't even have to get up. I just pull that over, bring over the dies, and I've got the plates right next to me as well. It's so perfect for this. My regular die cut machine is across my craft studio, so I normally have to get up to do that. So I really like using it this way. Now for the beach sand, I'm going to use this stencil right here, but I'm using that wavy stencil at the bottom with some tea dye distress ink to give the look of sand. And that's going to start our look here. And then for the ocean, I'm going to use this mini ocean waves stencil. It's actually called Tiny Wave Stencil. And I'm going to use that same Heffy tape I used to secure my die cuts, because it's still sticky enough to mask off the top portion here so I don't get those waves into the sky. So you can reuse your Heffy tape until it's not sticky anymore, and I love to do that because I don't like to waste anything in my craft room. It all gets multiple uses, right? Now here's the fun part. With the sky stencil, this is the Cloudy Sky stencil. I'm going to start with some beautiful shades of sunset colors. I have Scattered Straw Distress Oxide here. I'm using oxides because it gives a softer, kind of chalkier look. So it's going to give it a nice soft look to our background. And then for the stencil, I'm going to just snip apart those little pieces that keep these together, just the inside bits, so I can slip my A2 cardstock right in there. I'm going to do a darker layer of that scattered straw on the next one. Then I'm going to snip apart, well, I'll clean my stencil first here. Then I'm going to snip apart the next one See those tiny little strands keeping it together? Snip apart the inside pieces so I can slip my cardstock right in there. Then I'm going to use some saltwater taffy, which is a beautiful corally pink color. And I'll do a light shade on that one, and then I'm going to snip apart the next one and do a darker shade on the next layer. This is such a brilliant stencil because you get all of these different cloud layers. None of them are exactly the same, so you get a really nice variation. It's beautiful. And then you have the bottom portion and the top that you can use as well. So I'm going to use that on our last color, which is the milled lavender distress oxide. I also want to mention that I use my oxide blending brushes here. These are reserved just for my oxide inks. I love them. I don't use them on regular inks. I don't use them on dye inks or distress ink. These are just my oxide blenders so that I keep the formulas separate. Now I've already colored up this sand castle from a little shellfish set, and you can see that I've added some dots on that sand castle, so I'm going to add some of those dots onto my sandy beach as well. I'm using the E50 shades again. I have E55, E53, E51, and E50, and I'm just going to keep adding some dots and blending those out, and that's going to give us our sandy beach look, and it's so simple to do. You just add dots. Very simple, and it adds just such a great texture look to that sandy beach. See that here? There's our background, so easy to make using these stencils. And now it's time to put our scene together. So I've colored up a little crab here. I've used kind of a corally pink to match the clouds on him, and that's from the A Little Shellfish stamp set as well. Now I'm going to place my unicorns. This one's going to be dancing kind of on top of that beach house. He's so cute. There's a little shovel here to go into that sand castle. And then I'm using the clouds from the Fluffy Puffy Unicorns stamp set, and I'm leaving a little spot right here for the sentiment. I decided to go with this sentiment that says, "Seize the day." Since I've spent so much time creating this background, I'm going to put this whole panel into my MISTI so I can stamp it multiple times, get a nice dark impression. The MISTI really saves me for this. Imagine if I messed up on the sentiment now. So that's why I love it. You can leave that in the same place, stamp it multiple times. Now I'm going to pop the unicorns up with some foam tape. I've already glued down the beach house and the sandcastle with some liquid adhesive. I'm going to use that same liquid adhesive on the clouds and to attach this panel down to my card base. And there is the card. Look at that. See how happy they are playing on the beach? I really do think they deserve a beach day. I hope you enjoyed this video today, learning how to create some beautiful sandy beach scenes, color some unicorn hair up, and put together that little beach getaway for them. Be sure to stop by the channel to see lots more inspiration, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.